Well, good morning and welcome to UWS Southeast Louisiana's October monthly investors call. This is Michael Williamson, President and CEO of UWS Southeast Louisiana, and we're glad to have you on. As a reminder, this call is designed to share with you, our listeners and our supporters, the great work we're doing on your behalf, but also because of your generous support. And today we have an action-packed agenda with some items I think that will excite you about your investments in United Way. Let me start real quick by some really good news, and a special shout out to our economic development partners throughout the region. Charmaine Cassiope, our Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, and I had an opportunity last week to join the governor and other local economic development officials and policymakers for the announcement of the redevelopment of the Avondale shipyards. And for those of you that remember Avondale in its heyday, it was a long-time employer and economic engine for the region, and it's been closed for some time now. But we're happy to say that T. Parker Hosts, a maritime logistics organization out of Norfolk, Virginia, has acquired the property and will be redeveloping it. And it's anticipated to bring in excess of 2,000 jobs when it's complete. Outside of that, what excites us most is that T. Parker Hosts is a long-standing supporter of United Way. So really excited about what this will mean for our organization and how it'll empower us to better serve Jefferson Parish, the region, and for that matter, the state. So to all of our partners out there that may have been involved in that project, we can't thank you enough for your leadership support. We know this was a long time in the making, and there was a special moment during the presentation where Michael Hecht, CEO of GNO Inc., highlighted and honored Woody Auger, who was a longtime United Way supporter and board member that passed away several years ago. And he had worked at Avondale, but he was also involved in so many efforts throughout the state. So it was really nice to hear Woody Auger recognized. So to jump right into our agenda, I'd like to call on our chairman of our board, Mr. Bob Kimbrough, to offer his welcome and thanks.
And thank you, Michael, and good morning, everybody. And just wanted to tell our stakeholders, thank you once again for your support and efforts in helping us, work on our blueprint for prosperity to eradicate poverty in Southeast Louisiana. We certainly can't do it alone. We don't think that you can do it alone, but we believe and know that together that we can. So we thank you for all your support and thank you for all that you're doing in terms of delivering the services that are needed to those in the ALICE threshold, those in poverty. I want to give you a quick update before I turn it over to Lee to talk about some campaign activities, but I want to give you a quick update from a board perspective. But we have engaged our governance committee under the leadership of Rick Haas to look at our board makeup and be sure that it's representative from a diversity perspective of the 7 parishes that we represent, and also inclusive of all the different population makeups that we have across that 7 parish region. And so we've started that task this past month. We think it's probably going to take us another 2 to 3 to 4 months to wrap that up, but it's good work that's being done under Rick's leadership and all the governance committee members, and we hope to have some information to report to you perhaps in the next 2 to 3 months. So some good exciting news there. And with that, I'll turn it over to Lee to update you on some of our annual campaign activities that we have upcoming. So Lee?
Thank you so much, Bob. We had kicked off our campaign on September 1st. Now 1 month in, we are trucking along towards our amazing $12.4 million goal, but we know we can get there with the support of our donors, volunteers, and advocates around our region. We have been actively engaging our donor networks in various events and activities. I want to tell you about one that just occurred a couple weeks ago, which was our Women United General Membership Meeting. It was hosted at the Eliza Jane on September 25th. The Eliza Jane has already been a great partner of ours, and we continue to do work with them and our hospitality workers. But we were fortunate to have representatives from the New Orleans Family Justice Center, Children's Bureau, as well as Chiquita Lattimore, who oversees our J. Wayne Leonard Prosperity Center, all of which are programs that are funded by Women United specifically, all of which fit into our blueprint, and that they were able to tell the membership of Women United in more detail about the work that's being done because of their support. So that was a really great event. We have one incredible opportunity for our donors coming up this week that we invite anyone on the call to join. They are donor insight sessions. We are working to make sure that individuals in our community know about the J. Wayne Leonard Prosperity Center, and if organizations or individuals are interested in investing in the J. Wayne Leonard Prosperity Center, that they learn a little bit more about it in detail. So we want to make sure we're presenting the best product possible. So we're hosting some donor insight sessions this week, both on Thursday, just to gauge interest. If anyone is interested in participating this Thursday, we'll hold one from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. in the Hancock Whitney Boardroom. That's being hosted by our Vice Chair of the Board, Gary Loria. We're so appreciative of that. And another is being hosted this Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. at our office on Canal Street. If you're interested, please feel free to reach out. We'd love to have you there. I want to let everyone know about our incredible Tocqueville Gala, the Alexis de Tocqueville Award Celebration, that'll be occurring on Thursday, November 1st, which we hope everyone will want to participate in as we honor the incredible Mary Keller Zervigon for all of her years of support and service to our region. And we're honored to not only honor Mary with our Tocqueville Award, but also our legislative champions, which I'm sure Charmaine Cassiope, our Chief Operating Officer, will go into more detail about. We have a few days of action coming up. We like to engage our donors in volunteerism as well, and we've got two great opportunities. One is in St. Bernard Parish on Friday, October 26th at Val Reef Park in the morning. That's being hosted by Chalmette Refining, and all members of our St. Bernard community and members of our region are more than welcome and encouraged to participate in that volunteer activity. We also have a family day of action that's going to be occurring on Saturday, November 17th at the Terrytown Head Start. So bring your families out. It'll be a great day of service for all individuals at all ages. And we also want to recognize EY, who hosted an incredible day of action for their 100-person staff this past Friday, the 5th, at Success Preparatory Academy. It was so incredible to see EY volunteers out in the community and engaged in the work so they can understand how everything we do fits into our blueprint for prosperity. Lastly, I just want to acknowledge some campaigns that are already running right now, big campaigns. The Tehanshapahoe Parish School System is actively running their campaign. Not only do the employees of the school system all support United Way through payroll deduction, but the students participate in dress down days and raise tens of thousands of dollars for United Way through those activities, and we're really appreciative of that. I also want to acknowledge the city of New Orleans, which kicked off their United Way campaign last week with thousands of city employees. We know that it's going to be another successful campaign, and we're very, very appreciative of the support they give us on many levels, especially through their payroll deduction employee campaign. So with that, I'll turn it over to Charmaine Cassiope to talk about our public policy work.
Thanks a million, Lee, and good morning, everybody. October, as you all know, is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I'd like to say that both Kim Sport and I were indeed pleased because we received a telephone call from Lorna O'Neill, who writes for Atlantic Magazine, and as a result of the enormous success that we have had in advancing policy for domestic violence and sexual assault, we were interviewed. So hopefully we'll be able to share an article that will go live in Atlantic Magazine. Given the fact that Domestic Violence Awareness Month is so important, and regrettably, Louisiana continues to lead the nation in the number of individuals that are impacted by this crisis, Governor John Bel Edwards and his wife have invited both Kim Sport and I to participate in the 2018 Governor's Domestic Violence Awareness Ceremony, which will be held October the 11th in Baton Rouge at the State Police Headquarters. It's entitled Still Thriving, but it will give us and afford us the opportunity to share again the tremendous work that we're doing on the advocacy front in advancing legislation and providing services to families impacted by domestic violence. I also want to acknowledge that the New Orleans Family Justice Center will be hosting on October the 19th a phenomenal luncheon, which is called the Hope Luncheon. This will give us another opportunity to highlight our work in domestic violence, but it will also feature a strong advocate, and that is Tanya Tetlow, who's the keynote speaker from Loyola University. I want to congratulate Kim Sport because in addition to October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month, it also serves as the National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. As I'm sure you know, Kim Sport herself is a survivor of breast cancer, and she began Brestoration. They had a spectacular event, which is annually held at Galatoirs, and it's entitled Galatoirs Goes Pink. Kim Sport was very gracious in allowing us to participate by acknowledging our legislative champions who led an aggressive agenda, that being Representative Troy Carter and our own Julie Stokes, who herself is a cancer survivor. I can tell you the work that we're doing in breast cancer to allow there to be now insurance coverage for individuals who are requiring 3D mammograms is a big step forward, and it impacts a tremendous amount of the women who depend on us to be their voice at the state capitol. And I can assure you that Troy Carter's champion of legislation that allowed us to put in place stronger obligations so that when an individual is in fact diagnosed with cancer, they know all of the options available to them. So I want to congratulate Kim. It was a huge success, and I couldn't be more proud of the legislative champions who helped us advance that legislation. I'm delighted to report that I've been invited by the New Orleans Regional Leadership Institute to participate on October 10th in a phenomenal Leadership Institute program that they're going to be hosting at Southeastern Louisiana University. And I've been asked, because of the work that our United Way is doing in policy and advocacy, to provide a presentation on collaborative activism. I think it's a compliment to the enormous faith that our board has in allowing us to do this work. So I hope that that will be well received, and that will allow us to actually entice a lot of those young leaders to join our policy and advocacy. Louisiana Women's Policy and Research Commission, as I'm sure many of you know, I have the enormous privilege of chairing that. We are in the process. We hosted on the 20th a meeting at the state capitol to begin to chronicle all of the budgeting for all departments. We had intense presentations from all branches of government, and this will give us a basis to really set in place what will be the foundation for our advocacy agenda that we will begin formulating in January of 2019. I'm delighted to report that the Department of Education, along with the Governor's Office, has asked the United Way of Southeast Louisiana be their lead partner on a poverty listening tour that will be entitled The State of Louisiana's Children. We will be working in our 7-parish region to host 2 poverty listening tours that will include Orleans and Jefferson, and it will be Tangipahoa and Washington Parish. We will continue to keep you posted, but I think it's important to note that we have already formed what we entitle a Tiger Team here locally within our staff to make sure that all departments are actively engaged in how we move forward that aggressive agenda. 2018 state legislative and partner champions, as Lee said, will be honored as part of the Tocqueville award ceremony. This is the first time that that's happened. And I do want you to know that we have significant participation in bipartisan support from our legislative delegation, but you ought to also know that we don't do any of the advocacy and policy work that we do successfully alone. We depend on our partners. So I do want you to know that we will also be honoring our partner champions at that event. I'm excited to say that the Nancy Marsiglia Institute of Justice continues to have just tremendous success. Our individuals that are participating in this institute have just recently had the benefit of being presented by, we studied, in addition to the U.S. Constitution, the Louisiana Constitution, and our very own Mary Zervagon was the presenter this past Thursday. I'm excited to tell you that we're working in partnership here with the United Way of Southeast Louisiana with our partners on the 2020 census. I think it's important that you know that April 1st of 2020 will be Census Day. The economic implications as well as the leadership implications of making sure we count everybody in our region are incredibly important because, as I'm sure as everybody on this phone realizes, this is how we determine the number of federal dollars that will come to Louisiana, but more importantly, it will allow us to maintain the representative support that we have in the U.S. House of Representatives. With that, I want to thank everybody for the support that you are giving us. I hope you will continue to engage in the tremendous work that we are doing on the policy and advocacy front. And now I will turn the program over to Janine.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Herbie, I'm hoping that they can hear me. We had a little audio problem a little bit earlier.
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Well, good morning, everybody. One of the things we wanted to update you on was a status of the Hurricane Florence that hit our region. Of course, if you've been watching the news yesterday, we have our very own Hurricane Michael that's approaching. That'll be hitting the Florida coast, but of course the people down in our lower parishes such as St. Bernard and Plaquemine and Lower Jefferson are probably preparing a little bit for some possible tropical storm winds. But one of the things that we wanted to make sure everybody knew that even though Florence didn't hit our own coastline, of course our CEO Michael Williamson immediately reached out to both North Carolina and South Carolina and several other United Ways on that East Coast region to let them know we knew what they were going through and offer our support. One of the things that did occur was having some one-on-one conversations with our Wilmington, North Carolina CEO, which is the United Way of Cape Fear, and that's Craig Heim. And Craig got all of his staff together, and we had a wonderful conference call, especially with the fact that Wilmington, along with New Bern being the hardest hit areas that were flooded very lately, in the storm, had tremendous flooding, and numerous people couldn't even return back to their town. They were cut off and needed some assistance, and our United Way stepped up to be able to help. Our disaster team, including our marketing team, our executive team, a volunteer team, met via conference call with their CEO, Craig Heim, and came up with a plan on some things that we could help with. And so a shout out to the marketing team in particular, because one of the conversations that came out of it was that although they needed to be there for their people, they were still recovering and just being able to go back into Wilmington. So some of the things that we provided assistance with was we were able to update their website. So our team created a landing page for community resources and support where people throughout the community could log on and find out what was going on. They actually designed and launched a new homepage graphic for that site, and then they helped craft some language to clarify the fund, which was the Hurricane Florence Relief and Recovery Fund, that would offer places for people to go on and provide online donation support specifically to that area. With that being said, we did launch our own site here locally to try to make sure we captured people that were basically in our region that wanted to make some donations but didn't exactly know where to go. So we launched the site and collected a relatively small amount of money, just over about $4,300 that we'll be investing with the Wilmington United Way Cape Fear. But one of those things is that lets you know that local people here understand and want to give whatever they can to assist. So we'll be working with that United Way and getting those funds. In addition, some of the things that they also helped with through our marketing division was assisting with social media content. So they crafted more than a dozen template social media posts that the Wilmington United Way Cape Fear could use to promote the fund so that they could raise money, and the way that they could promote their resource page and the way that people could volunteer. And then additionally, they designed graphics to accompany those social media posts. One of the things that's real interesting when we talk about ways that people can assist, in our very own United Way Hands-On Volunteer Center, our director, Chris Cameron, one of his VISTA workers, Kayla, was working directly with me on some recovery items, and personally, she had never firsthand been in the field to do hurricane recovery. She's worked in the back lines, working on data and processing stuff and helping with paperwork and raising funds and that kind of stuff. But one of the great things is that on behalf of Hands On United Way, Kayla is now down there with the NOLA Tree Project from New Orleans, and they've made a landing in Wilmington, North Carolina, and she'll gain some firsthand experience in how to do on the ground hurricane recovery. So we just wanted everybody to know that your United Way, even though we may have a storm or a crisis that doesn't specifically hit us, that we are out there actively working with our neighbors and our friends to make sure we can provide them with resources that they might need to assist them through those times of need. So it's a great report. And with that, since my technical stuff is out, I'm going to have to ask Kirby to bring me to the next person.
And that's Mary.
Hey, Mary.
Good morning. Good morning. It's a very good morning. I am so excited to report that and welcome our newest data analyst grant writer, Dr. Vanessa Greenslade. We are so happy she started yesterday, and she will be responsible for collecting, analyzing all of the great data United Way UWSELA collects, and through that data begin to tell the story how we are doing addressing poverty in our 7 parish area. Vanessa will also be working with community impact staff to write grants to support the internal collaborations like the grade level reading campaign, Louisiana Prisoner Reentry Initiative, and the J. Ray Leonard Prosperity Center. So we look forward to working with Vanessa, and welcome, Vanessa. We are so excited to have you here with us. Also, we're gearing up right now for the 2019-2022 Blueprint for Prosperity program grant process. It will be opening very soon. The first step in the process is to submit the letter of intent, which will be made available very soon on our website. So if you know of any organizations that would like to apply for program grants, please have them sign up on our website to add to the mailing list and connect to our social media for announcement and updates. Also, we will be recruiting very soon volunteers to help us read and rate grants. And if you or someone is interested, and as long as you're not with an agency or nonprofit, we would welcome you to sign up, and that will be on our website very soon. But in the meantime, you can contact by email tapb at tapb@unitedwayseala.org if you're interested in learning how to read and rate grants. And there's a training, and so we would teach you everything you need to know to be able to read and write grants. Well, read grants and rate grants. Also, we're excited to report that we have secured, once again, a multi-year VITA grant from the IRS. The VITA stands for Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. It's a program of the IRS designed to support free tax preparation services for the underserved through various partner organizations. So you could go and get your taxes done for free. We have begun the planning process with Entergy and Total Community Action Agency to prepare for Super Tax Day, which will be held on February 2nd, 2019. Yes, we're starting early at 9 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the evening at Xavier University Convocation Center. We are also identifying more VITA sites and working on a marketing strategy to encourage more taxpayers to utilize the VITA sites to get their taxes done for free. So please help us spread the word about Super Tax Day, February 2nd, from 9 to 4 at Xavier University Convocation Center. And just as a teaser, the new draft of the Alice report is under review, and we may have a new report out before the end of the year. So just stay tuned to that. And we're really excited. Some things have been added to the report, and there's some new numbers, but that's just a teaser. So stay tuned. And Michael, that concludes my report for community impact, and I turn it over back to you.
Thanks, Mary, and also thanks, Jameen, for your leadership around the long-term recovery work. Charmaine, for clearly so much work that's being done in the policy advocacy arena. It's so exciting. Lee, and the campaign team doing an amazing job, and to our chairman, Bob Kimbrough, for his leadership. Let me just close by saying this, that it's really, really important that we share with you and you help us share with others that have joined our cause that we don't do this work alone, but when we work together, we can achieve amazing things. And I'm pleased to share with you that in a recent study that we did looking at the leverageability of a United Way contribution, we discovered that for every dollar invested, we're able to turn that into $2.65 in impact. And so that's just once again proof that when you're working with United Way, when you're supporting United Way, we're able to leverage your investment and create a greater impact. And for us, this is all around the Blueprint for Prosperity. in our efforts to eradicate poverty in Southeast Louisiana. And once again, we can't do this alone. So this call is just one more opportunity for us to say how much we appreciate and thank each one of you. We do encourage you to stay connected. We also encourage you to share this information with friends and colleagues in your workplace or in the neighborhoods and your communities, and hopefully get more folks engaged. And so with that, I'll just remind us all that we have one life to live better. We must live united. Have a great day.